wir, liebe Motorsportfreunde, langsam aber sicher den zweiten Durchgang. In Angriff TCR International Series. Wir werden in Richtung der Startaufstellung blicken dürfen und wir hatten es Ihnen gesagt, das Qualifying-Ergebnis, das wir gestern herausgefahren haben, wird für Rennen 2 dann aufgestellt nach dem Ergebnis des Qualifyings, Q1, Q2, wobei aus dem Q2 heraus die ersten 10 Positionen im Reverse Grid an den Start gehen. Und da haben wir zunächst mal mit dem jetzigen Polesetter, David Kajaya, Ihnen zu vermelden, der im Auto mit der Startnummer 7 für das Equimoli-Team Engster an den Start geht. Er darf also vom Platz an der Sonne das Rennen in Angriff nehmen. Und durch die Rückversetzung des Stefano Comini im Auto mit der Startnummer 1 bis ans Feldende ist dadurch dann in der zweiten Position jetzt der Spanier Pepe Oriola als derjenige zu vermelden, der in der zweiten Position Einzug gehalten hat. Der Tabellenzweite also mit einer deutlich besseren und freundlicheren Ausgangslage als im ersten Rennen, jetzt gleich am Start. Für Comini ist die ganze Geschichte allerdings ziemlich ärgerlich abgelaufen, der, wie gesagt, sich bis fast am Feldende hinten versetzt sieht. Ich bin mir allerdings jetzt nicht ganz sicher, ob er denn wirklich in der Startaufstellung drin steht, denn es war ja noch einiges an Arbeit bei Leopard Racing zu vermelden. Das Auto stand immer noch in der Box, als die Boxengasse mal komplett leer war. Jetzt in der Zwischenzeit ist auch Cominis Platz zwar geräumt, Auto nicht mehr erkennbar, aber was er gerade signalisiert, er geht mal eben hinten schauen. Dafür schon mal ein herzliches Dankeschön, ob er das Auto am Feldende dann in der Startaufstellung sieht. Fakt ist, hinter Pepe Oriola in der dritten Startposition steht dann Gorka Laney, der Teamkollege von Stefano Comini, als Drittplatzierter im Auto mit der Startnummer 2, gefolgt von Gianni Morbidelli, dessen Achterbahnfahrt also einen zumindest freundlicheren Ausklang hier findet beim zweiten Rennen mit dieser vierten Startposition. Und vielen Dank, Marcel, für die Info. Comini steht also hinten am Feldende im Auto mit der Startnummer 1, doch in der Startaufstellung. Man hat das Fahrzeug also wieder hinbekommen nach dem technischen Problem, die es dort vorhin im Auto gab. Ist man also wohl doch noch rechtzeitig fertig geworden und kann sich eben halt am Feldende hinten anstellen. Fünfte Startposition gehört an Sergei Avanadiev, den Russen im Auto mit der Startnummer 7. Gefolgt von Startplatz 6, und das ist Antiguri mit der 48 auf dem Fahrzeug. Das Auto und der Fahrer, der uns wohl für die meisten Spektakel im ersten Rennen gesorgt hat. Freuen wir uns jetzt schon drauf, auf das, was noch kommen wird. James Nash, neuer Tabellenführer nach dem ersten Durchgang. Er hat sich also im Halbzeitrennen dann auch die Halbzeitmeisterschaft gesichert. Der Brite in der 54 vorstellig geworden an der 7. Startposition. 8. Platzierter, der Laufsieger des soeben gesehenen Rennens, Marco Rovola, unsere Startnummer 70. Gefolgt von seinem Teamkollegen in der Startaufstellung und demjenigen, der als Zweitplatzierter den Zielstrich vorhin gekreuzt hat, nämlich Dusan Borkovic. Das Auto mit der 62 in der 10. Startposition. Ab Startplatz 11 wird dann aufgestellt nach dem Ergebnis des Q2 vom gestrigen Samstag. Und da ist Peter Kulin, der Tscheche, im Auto mit der Startnummer 22 an der 10. Position. Wie gesagt, aufgestellt deswegen auf Rang 10, weil Comini ja nach hinten durchgesetzt wurde oder hingesetzt wurde. Attila Tassi, 11. Startposition, das Auto mit der Startnummer 9. Der Russe Michael Bartschew mit der 8 auf dem Fahrzeug in der 12. Startposition. Niklas Makschin ist dann der 13. im Bunde. Unsere Startnummer 46, das zweite Fahrzeug von Equimoli-Team Engster. Kajaya als Polesetter. Makschin Rang 13. Der 14. ist dann sein Teamkollege, der US-Amerikaner Gary Sheehan. Und dann meine ich, müsste Niklas Makschin kommen in der 15. Dann müsste Stefano Comini kommen, der Schweizer, mit der Startnummer 1 in der 15. Startposition. Und Michela Cerotti auf Rang Nummer 16 in der Startnummer 88. Das wird also dann unser Feld sein. Noch einmal 16 Pilotinnen und Piloten, die die Reise aufnehmen. 2 Minuten 50 stehen auf der Uhr. Bis zum Beginn der Formations- und Einführungsrunde. Es lichtet sich jetzt also langsam aber sicher die Startaufstellung. Und wir halten noch einmal fest, 130 Punkte hat der neue Tabellenführer auf dem Habenkonto.
A dramatic race one here at Oschersleben then, but we have the small matter of another race to get through this afternoon. And who would lay any bets on what's to happen in the remaining 17 laps, or maybe more, and the safety cars, who knows? But one thing is certain, the stewards will have their work cut out. As you can probably see, the mechanics have done in the repair time between the two races. The major incident to tell you about is that Stefano Comini will start from the back of the grid, thanks to a new radiator having to be fitted to his car. He drops from the lead of the championship to fourth now. We have a new championship leader thanks to race one. Matto Homola, with 131 points, has a 1-point advantage over James Nash. Pepe Oriola, scoring that 1 point for 10th, is now third, ahead of Comini and Vernet. And ripples down as far as Attila Tassi too, with Antti Buri up to 12th, thanks to that result in race one. But you have to say that a lot remains to be seen as to what the stewards will say, because an awful lot of incidents are still under investigation from race one, and they will only be decided after race two. Air temperatures and the cloud still very similar to those of race one, and you do wonder, although it's not raining at the moment, the pattern that we've seen all weekend is dry rain, and about, well, equal measures in both. So you have to say that rain is always a threat here, and potentially we could see the return. So our pole sitter for race two hasn't changed. That's David Kajaya from Georgia on the left of your screen then. But it was meant to be Stefano Comini second on the grid. He, you can see right at the back row there on the left-hand side. And so it'll be Jean-Carl Vernet who will be third on the grid. Alongside him on the grid will be Pepe Oriola. We'll take a look at the revised grid perhaps on the green flag lap, but we have a slight delay to the start. In case you were thinking we were due to get underway a couple of minutes ago, we were, but because of the safety car periods and the repair time, we've pushed things on by around 5 minutes. So, green lights on, the green flag lap. So the cars will process around the circuit here at Oschersleben, trying to get some heat into those tyres. And then what can happen between David Kajaya and Pepe Oriola going down to turn one? Kajaya then having Oriola alongside him. Oriola determined to salvage something from Germany. Row two is now Vernet and Morbidelli. Avanasiev and Buri on row three. James Nash, a podium finish in race one. And Matto Homola, race one victor, alongside each other. Dusan Borkovic alongside Peter Fullin in the Alpha. And then it's Attila Tassi, Mikhail Grachov, Niklas Makshin, Michaela Ceruti in the back row of the grid. It's Stefano Comini, as I mentioned, and also Gary Sheehan from the US in the Volkswagen. Difficult to keep track of all the incidents, you have to say, during race one. Virtually every lap it seemed somebody was doing something and taking to the outside line. Incidentally, you could just see there on that wide shot of the left-hander turn three, a lot of gravel on the outside of the corner. And so not a particularly clean line anyway, because the racing line is the inside. But you do wonder, if you get offline, as we saw so many times in race one, whether you're penalized severely, more severely than usual perhaps, by a fairly inevitable trip out to the gravel. Jean-Carl Vernet in the Leopard Golf. What can he do in this race? As I mentioned several times in race one, carrying the maximum 30 kilos of success ballast. Vernet with 30 kilos, James Nash with 20, and barely mentioned the man with 10, Mikhail Grachov, double race winner, including a victory last time out at the Salzburg Ring in Austria, and also the first man to have problems in race one, spinning off, you may recall, at turn one. There is Gary Sheehan bringing up the rear, but delighted just to be here in Germany. Came for a look-see, the promoter of the US Touring Car Championship, Ali Arkham is here, brought Gary with him. Gary tested the LMS Racing Seat Leon of Antti Buri earlier in the week, and ever so slightly surprised to find himself taking part. Whether that was the intention all along, I don't know, but he's been tweeting and Facebooking his absolute delight, and clearly the folks back home in the States on the West Coast have risen to the challenge and saying, go on, Gary, you know you can do it. Came so close to coming home, or going home to the States with a point from race 1, but his race ended in the gravel. And so what can he do in race 2? That is Antti Buri. No fewer than 4 races for him this weekend, 2 in the TCR International, 2 in TCR Germany. And he did find himself at the center of some of the incidents in race 1. And you wonder whether the stewards will penalize him and the likes of Morbidelli. Borkovic was involved in a couple, I seem to recall. And it was Gary Sheehan that came off worst from one of Morbidelli's indiscretions, coming out of a gravel trap and finding Sheehan in his way. But we shall have to wait and see until much later on this afternoon to see what the stewards decide to do, anything about any of those incidents. However, 17 laps of this relatively short Oschersleben circuit lay ahead of our crews. It's David Kajaya on the left of your screen. What can he do in this sprint down to turn 1? Can he hold off from Pepe Oriola? The lights go on, and they go off. Pepe Oriola, we're watching. Kajaya moves across the block, and he does so. Venet is alongside Oriola, who moves in turn to block Morbidelli, who has no way through for this left-hander. Oriola, I suspect, has got the line as Buri tucks up alongside Morbidelli. Is there contact? There's nudging. Oh, and Oriola's going sideways. And is that Morbidelli? At the back of your... That is Morbidelli with the Komotsi sponsorship logos. So Morbidelli, a poor race 1 and a poor race 2, you have to say. They're through turn 3. Kajaya still holding off for Oriola as Venet runs wide. Borkovic behind. Then it's Homola, then Nash. That's our top 6, but Oriola on the rear bumper of David Kajaya. Can the Georgian driver hold him off? As Nash moves up alongside Mato Homola, takes a look up the inside, but no, indeed, the door is firmly closed. So it is Kajaya, Oriola, Venet. Then it's the 2 B3 racing cars. That's where Morbidelli should have been, but he's a long, long way down, as that was Attila Tassi in the background getting it sideways. Oriola moves to block Venet, who's involved in a scrap of his own with Borkovic, who dives up the inside. Contact, and off goes Venet. A tap between Borkovic and Venet, and another tap between the 2 teammates. This is just remarkable stuff. Oriola, meanwhile, scrapping for the lead with Kajaya. Has he got the line? Yes, he has, as the Leopard car goes off into the gravel in the background. Lap 1 of this second race, just as incident-packed as lap 1 of the first. Oriola takes the lead from Kajaya. Nash is looking at Homola with Borkovic tucked in behind. Afanasiev alongside Buri, as that's Homola getting it sideways and up on 2 wheels as he comes out of turn 1. But manages to hang on. Oriola ahead of Kajaya. Oh, and a tap there for Buri, and that's Grachov in the Honda, who spins onto the grass. Lots of bumping and banging on this narrow Oschersleben track as Nash, I think, was challenging Borkovic, but took to the grass. Borkovic 3rd, Nash 4th. And that's Homola, I think, behind us. Nash runs wide. Has he allowed Homola up the inside? The sandwich mud. No. Nash comes sideways. Afanasiev up the inside. And it's indeed the Russian driver who grabs the place. So it's Afanasiev from Nash, from the 2 B3 cars with their teammate, the Kraft Bamboo teammate, Pepe Oriola, away off into the distance. He's already opening up an advantage over Kajaya. Afanasiev ahead of Nash. I'm looking at the timing screen. Borkovic again runs wide. So Pepe Oriola from David Kajaya, from Borkovic, Afanasiev, Nash, Homola, Tassi. Makshin, the German driver, the young 21-year-old, then Michela Ceruti in the Alpha, and then currently rounding things off, according to the timing screen, is Sheehan in 10th, as we look briefly there at Petter Fullin. More disappointment for the Mulsanne Racing team as one of the Alphas is in the pits. And, oh, Afanasieff, I think, made a mistake in turn 1. Has he allowed Nash to get up alongside? Nash has got the line, but it's a left-hander at turn 3 coming up. Afanasieff has got the line for that one. They successfully block Hommler, but he's now on the inside, up the inside of Nash. Afanasieff then holds from Nash. Hommler tucked in behind. But again, it's Afanasieff who runs slightly wide, runs across the curbs. And into the pits comes Grachov. After the 2 race victories early in the year, it's 0 points from Oschersleben, I'm afraid. Confirmation, then Oriola leads by 1.7 seconds already from Kajaya, from Borkovic, Afanasieff, Nash and Hommler. But Nash determined to get past his teammate, while Hommler, I suspect, would be content for a pile of points from this second race to go with that victory. That was Vernet in the pits with the bonnet up. So another weekend to forget for Leopard. Comini also outside the points, currently in 11th. Oriola then pulling away. Is this going to be win number 3 of the season for Pepe Oriola? David Kajaya second, as Nash takes a look up the inside of Afanasieff, who weaves over to the side to block Hommler and allows Nash through. Nash then through, up into 4th place behind Borkovic, as the 2 B3 racing the grey Seats all over the back of Afanasieff's car now. It's Tassi on the left of your screen, Hommler on the right. Afanasieff moves across to block. And just behind, it's Makshin in the 46 car, the Liqui-Moly Enschler Volkswagen, and it's Michela Ceruti behind them, ahead of Gary Sheehan. As we focus on this scrap, I think, between Matto Hommler and Sergei Afanasieff. Afanasieff currently 4th. And Makshin having closed right up. Let's take a replay of this first turn as Oriola gets it sideways. That's where somebody tapped Morbidelli into a spin. And I think it was contact, it was Fullin that was knocked into Morbidelli, who was then spun completely around, and it's Morbidelli and Comini, and Vernet, excuse me. And that's the incident, I suspect, that put paid to Vernet. And that's where James Nash ran wide. Bumping and banging between Nash and Hommler, with Afanasieff also muscling his way past. And that's the contact between Buri and, probably if the camera pans across, we'll see Grachov spun across. There he is on the other side of the track between turns 2 and 3. There's Hommler through the grass and up onto 2 wheels. Lucky to escape the gravel trap on the outside of turn 1, which race director Tony Whitaker was warning everyone, it's soft gravel, it's deep gravel. If you're in there, there's a fair chance you'll stay there. So Afanasieff still holding his own at the moment ahead of Hommler. The gap opening up ever so slightly. That then the scrap for 4th place going on. Gaps opening up ahead. There is Nash in 3rd, Afanasieff 4th, Hommler 5th, Tassi 6th. Excuse me, Afanasieff 5th, Hommler 6th, Tassi 7th. There you briefly saw David Kajaya. Then Borkovic, then Nash 4th, Afanasieff 5th, Hommler 6th, Tassi 7th, Makshin 8th, then Ceruti 9th, Sheehan in 10th, and so on course, as I'm saying it. Sheehan drops from 10th to 11th, with Comini moving up into the top 10. So already having recovered from 16th on the grid and an incident at turn 1, so Comini now in the points. So our leader Pepe Oriola on his 6th lap. No heroics this time in the run down to turn 1. Nash through, Afanasiev through. The two B3 cars of Homola and Tassi are through. This is this long right-hander at turn 2 I've been talking about, putting pressure on the front left tyre. Just a little lock up there from Afanasiev. Cerruti still holding her own in the background. Would be good after 2 non-finishes in race 1. Would be good for Mulsanne if Cerruti can come home in the points in race 2. She's going to come under pressure from Stefano Camini, that's for sure. But even 10th and a point would be some consolation from the weekend. So Kajaya now coming into the clutches of Borkovic. There's Nash, there's Afanasiev, still Homola behind with Tassi just tucked in behind his teammate. There's Makshin, there's Cerruti, and Camini definitely closing the gap on the Alpha. Hungry for points after that problem in race 1 and having to neutralise Parc Fermé, having to work through the Parc Fermé regulations between the 2 races to repair and replace the radiator in the Golf. So Camini starting from actually 15th on the grid, not 16th, because it was Sheehan that was alongside him. As Borkovic takes a look up the inside of Kajaya, thinks better of it, but Kajaya now under extreme pressure from the Seat as Borkovic just eases through on the inside. This right-hander, Borkovic, I think, has done it. But in the run down to turn 3, it'll be Kajaya who's got the line. And indeed, Kajaya hangs on. But Borkovic won't settle for 3rd. All over the back of the Golf. Oh, and he does it again! Huge slide from Dusan Borkovic. He's been accused of being too aggressive, and I think that eagerness, that aggression is showing itself, and he just gets the red mist, gets it sideways, gets on the dirty line, and whoa, big tank slapper of a slide for Dusan Borkovic, which in turn takes the pressure off David Kajaya. Huge advantage now for Pepe Oriola. There is Kajaya. Borkovic having dropped back thanks to that indiscretion. Not quite close enough to Nash, for Nash to make a charge. But look at that, Camini right up behind Michele Cerruti and weaving to take a look up the inside. Just takes a little look, bumps across the curbs. The Alpha, remember, still very early in its development. The team choosing to miss several rounds of the TCR International Series so that they can work on the car's performance. The Golf, on the other hand, apart from the moans about the aerodynamics from the teams running the Golfs, you have to say that the car is already a proven race winner. Camini takes a look at the inside, though. No, it's not room enough. And Cerruti closes the door very effectively on the reigning TCR champion. He'll have to wait for another chance to get past. We're halfway through this 17-lap race. And you can see there how the gap has closed from nearly 2 seconds to just 3/10 in a couple of laps. And Camini has been extremely professional in the way that he's passed on several occasions this year. He was accused last year of being too hot-headed and muscling his way past on occasions. But he seems to have cleaned up his act as Stefano, and has made it a lot more gentlemanly, a lot more professional, if I can call him that, in Season 2 of the TCR International Series. Now, what can he do? This is the quickest part of the track. Camini in his frustration, flashing the lights. That's just psychological, though, just letting Cerruti know he's there. I don't care, she says, I'm driving my own race, thank you very much. Still 0.3 of a second the gap. John Gentry on the right, preferring perhaps not to look, his face down in the data. Camini takes a look up the inside. Has he done it? Yes, he has. Times that move to perfection. A little puff of brake dust of tyre smoke from the Alpha, and Camini is through. So Camini has moved from 10th to 9th. There is confirmation on the left of your screen. And so from 1 point to 2 points, Could still do with more than that, though, as Borkovic has moved past Kajaya when we were watching the scrap for 9th. Borkovic is now 2nd ahead of Kajaya. And this is where it happened. Turn 1, yet again. Kajaya untidy and across the curbs, and Borkovic seizes the moment, seizes the chance, and moves through into 2nd place. Thank you very much, David. Kajaya now under pressure from Nash. And you have to say, pole position for Kajaya would be ideal if he could finish on the podium. He's got a lot of support from Georgia, some here and a lot more at home watching on TV or online, and his social media followers are willing him on. All of the cars, of course, sporting the Visit Georgia sunstrip, and I think that's a testament to just how well the TCR International Series is going down in Georgia. Nash, though, refusing to respect that and says, no, thank you, I fancy a podium finish. Oriola's lead over 4 seconds now. 4.8 seconds to be exact from Borkovic. Kajaya under pressure from Nash, 3rd and 4th. Afanasiev. Nash takes a look up the inside, but no, indeed, Afanasiev 5th. 6th is Mato Homola, 7th is Tassi, 8th is Makshin, 9th is Kamini. Ceruti still hanging on to the points as we look at Grachov diving past Sheehan. Now, what happened there? Did Sheehan miss his braking point? Was he distracted by Grachov? Kajaya, though, hangs on to 3rd. Little ragged there going across the exit to the corner. Nash a lot neater and tucked up right in the aerodynamic toe. And, oh, we just got away from it. Did that passing move stick? No, it didn't. Nash takes a look, but no, Kajaya holds the line. This is a battle that continues through turns 8 and 9, around the right-hander at turn 10 onto the back straight. And that's Afanasiev tucked up behind Nash as well. Then it's the two B3 Seats behind them. Kajaya, though, holding off Nash brilliantly at the moment. Can he finish on the podium? Will the English driver do something about it? He wants to. You can see him all over the back of the Golf. But Kajaya defending brilliantly at the moment, and just as I say it, he runs slightly wide. So, our leader, Pepe Oriola, starts lap 11. Borkovic in 2nd. There you see him in space. The big scrap at the moment for 3rd as Nash weaves across the track. Kajaya, though, has the line for turn 1. Kajaya turns in. Oh, no, and misses his braking point. Disaster for the Georgian driver, and James Nash says, thank you very much, I'll have 3rd. Afanasiev moves through into 4th, and that's Homola through into 5th. Tassi through into 6th, and so 3rd has become 7th at the very least for Kajaya for that mistake, turning into the left-hander. Let's see it again. Kajaya very late on the brakes, misses his braking point, runs wide, and Nash and Afanasiev just tuck in through the gravel, ploughing through with the front wheels. And everybody else says, yep, I'll take my chance, thank you. And Kajaya, in fact, having dropped further than I thought, having dropped from 3rd to 11th. Morbidelli having also passed him. So Morbidelli, and indeed 11th becomes 12th. So Morbidelli in the points. Kamini is 8th ahead of Ceruti. But that's the man who's benefited most, moving from 4th to 3rd from that indiscretion by David Kajaya. James Nash with Sergei Afanasiev, his teammate in the Craft Bamboo Lukoil Seat team, having also moved up to 4th. Then it's Homola, then Tassi, then Makshin, then Kamini. So Kamini in a Golf, threatening Makshin in a Golf. The level of experience, though, at the opposite ends of the scale, as it's very lonely out front for Pepe Oriola. He's through very neatly. Oriola braking for turn 3, this long, long left-hander. I think the lap counter at the top of your screen is wrong, because I'm sure I mentioned lap 11 a whole lap ago. And indeed, looking at my timing screen, thank you, gentlemen. Someone is listening to me. We're on lap 12 of 17 then. Pepe Oriola leads from Dusan Borkovic. Then it's James Nash and Sergei Afanasiev. Then the two B3 Seats of Mato Homola and Attila Tassi. And we're looking at Stefano Camini, currently 8th, but thinking about 7th, because Nicholas Makshin, you see in front of him there in the red, white and blue Golf of the Liqui Moly Team Engstler, currently in that 7th position. And that gap definitely closing. But as is the gap from Makshin to the car ahead of him, which is that of Attila Tassi, the grey Seat of the B3 Racing Team. So that's a little bunch for 6th, 7th and 8th. Now what's going to happen here? Camini attacking Makshin, who will have to defend, but he's got serious thoughts about Tassi's 6th place. The gap between Oriola and Borkovic having come down slightly to 3.3 seconds. So has Oriola backed off to save his tyres? Oh, and Camini takes a lunge up the inside and times it brilliantly going into turn 1. No such issues with locking up or missing his braking point. Camini times that beautifully, and so Camini snatches 7th place away from Nicholas Makshin, and his next target, Attila Tassi, ahead in the Seat. Another well-timed overtaking manoeuvre from the TCR champion. But what can he do in terms of points? James Nash came into this race a point adrift of Mato Homola in the revised points table after race 1. As I was saying at the beginning, the stewards will have something to say about several of those incidents in race 1, but for now we can only go with what's in front of us. So James Nash currently 3rd, ahead of Afanasiev. Pepe Oriola streaking off. Borkovic hunting him down. The gap 3.3 seconds currently between 1st and 2nd. Then the two Craft Bamboo Lukoil cars. Then it's the two B3 cars. But then it's Camini, and very aggressively weaving from side to side behind Tassi's car, putting Tassi under pressure. He's got the line for the right-hander, but Camini, oh, and a little tap from Camini as Tassi goes through. Makshin also, not having given up, he wants to be part of the action. So around turn 14, as they start lap 14. And so Camini having one eye up the inside of Tassi, but also defending from Makshin. Hard onto the brakes for this 90-degree left-hander at turn 1. Camini bumping over the first curb, but all safely through, running slightly wide. And this is this tap. Boom, thank you very much. Just to remind you I'm here, says Stefano. No damage done, though. But Tassi well aware that the car filling his mirrors is the turquoise Volkswagen Golf of the Leopard Racing Team with the number 1 on its window. There it is. Stefano Camini came here as championship leader. That's not the case after race 1, as he takes a look up and goes ever so slightly sideways, just gets a slight drift on. And has that taken the pressure off Tassi slightly? Neatly through the chicane. Makshin not dropping back, not respecting the TCR champion. I want to be part of this as well, he says, as you see Homola just exiting your screen. This, remember, the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th. Tassi currently 6th. There is Homola in 5th. And you can almost sense the frustration in that Leopard car. Camini weaving, possibly putting Tassi under a little bit too much pressure as they come round the right-hander. And there is a black and white flag, a warning flag to Stefano Camini. Tassi holds the line for the left-hander turn 1. And it's all about the psychological pressure that Camini can put onto the young Hungarian driver, Attila Tassi. Talking of young drivers, Nicholas Makshin, still only 21 himself, not dropping back, still involved in that scrap in the Liqui Moly car. Oh, there must have been contact there. Tassi runs slightly wide and Kamini muscling up the inside. What was I saying earlier about him being gentlemanly? That was the Kamini of old as he muscles his way past, but he takes the place. So Kamini now 6th. Tassi having dropped to 7th, Makshin 8th. But the three running together and Tassi not dropping back. And I suspect Tassi will have something to say about that. Not the cleanest of overtaking maneuvers. Let's take a look at it again. There is a little tap there which just gets Tassi sideways, and Kamini goes through, and a little bump again. No mention at all on the timing screens as to whether the race director or the stewards have noticed that. So Kamini through into 6th position. Pepe Oriola leads. He's on his 16th lap of 17. Oriola then from Borkovic. The gap now between 1st and 2nd down to a whisker over 2 seconds. Nash 3rd, Avanasiev 4th. There is Oriola, still sporting the temporary repairs after the incident in race 1. There is Borkovic. Now the gap has closed, but I'm not sure that a lap and a half is enough for Borkovic to do anything about it. Finished 2nd a couple of times this year, has Borkovic, including in race 1 here at Oschersleben. Another 2nd place finish would do very nicely for his championship ambitions, but he really does need to start winning races. Untidy there, getting all 4 wheels across the white lines, and again there at the chicane. There is Nash, there is Avanasiev, 3rd and 4th. And there in the background is Homola, and that's the scrap we were watching earlier. And I don't think that Kamini is close enough to Homola to do anything about that 5th place of his. Tassi now coming under attack from Makshin. And in the other 2-point scoring positions, it's Cerruti. There she is at the top of your screen, just coming into shot. Michela Cerruti, currently 9th. Gianni Morbidelli, 10th, and on course to pick up just a solitary point from this 2nd race in Oschersleben. But Pepe Oriola is now on his final lap. As we take a look back to this scrap for 7th and 8th. Tassi currently 7th, Makshin 8th. And the gap between Oriola and Borkovic still around 2.3 seconds or thereabouts. There is Borkovic, too far behind, I suspect, to have any chance of doing anything about it. There is Nash in 3rd, with Avanasiev in 4th. We've hardly seen Pepe Oriola after the dramas of the 1st lap. He's driven his own race, and often driving that lonely 1st place when you're not under pressure can be almost more difficult than being involved in fights where you concentrate all the time. But Oriola able to think about things like his tyres. Borkovic up into 2nd place behind him, but really too far behind to have any effect. We're way into sector 3. That's the left-hander at turn 12. Just 2 more corners remain. The right-hander at 13, then the right-hander at 14. And around turn 14 comes Pepe Oriola. The drag to the flag is all that stands between him and win number 3 of the 2016 TCR International Series. He takes the flag, as does Borkovic in 2nd place. James Nash flashing his lights in delight, as is Sergei Avanasiev, 3rd and 4th respectively. Homola will finish 5th. Kamini, there he is, 6th. And the battle for 7th goes right to the wire, with Tassi 7th, Makshin 8th. Cerruti finishes 9th, and Morbidelli picks up the solitary point for finishing in 10th place. So, relief after the frustration of the Salzburg Ring, where Oriola scored no points. It's win number 3 to go with his 2 victories at the opening round in Bahrain. Pepe Oriola, normal service has been resumed. The Spaniard then takes the win and the all-important 25 points for the victory. And the championship positions will look very interesting. It's all tightening up at the head of the leaderboard. That first race victory for Matto Homola puts him very much in contention, and 5th place in race 2 won't have done him any harm at all. Oriola then, 2.1 seconds ahead of Borkovic at the flag. Nash 3rd, Avanasiev 4th, Homola 5th, Comini 6th, Tassi 7th, just 2/10 in it. Makshin finishing 8th, Ceruti 9th, Morbidelli 10th. Outside the points cruelly, because it would have been good for Sheehan to have gone back to the States with a point or two. He finishes in 11th, Grachev 12th, Kajaya 13th, Buri 14th. And you briefly saw there Peter Fullin. Frustration again for him after a non-finish in race 1. A similar story in race 2. So, even tighter than I thought. Pepe Oriola now joint leader with his teammate James Nash on 145 points. Homola drops from 1st to 3rd, but he'll be happy enough. Comini is now 4th, Venet 5th, Morbidelli 6th, and what's that? 31 points separating 1st to 6th in the championship leaderboard after 12 of the championship's 22 rounds. The race meeting here at Oschersleben marking the exact halfway point in the TCR International Series. If you want to be exact about it, it was after race 1 that we're halfway through the championship, but 6 drivers very, very close together. Jean-Carl Venet, disappointment for him. You saw his car there in the background. And the unusually stern face, I have to say, of Dusan Borkovic's wife, Andriana, walking up the pit lane. The usual hug and a kiss for hubby at the Parc Fermé. But Pepe Oriola, well, what can you say? He was bitterly disappointed after the Salzburg Ring. 2 non-finishes there. And we never did get to the bottom of what that problem was. They thought it was electrical. It was something to do with the turbo wastegate. They thought he went out to go onto the grid for race 2 and came past me into the pit lane with the car sounding awful, and that's where it stayed. It didn't come back out again. So the cars then make their way into Parc Fermé. James Nash will be happy enough with 3rd place. A joint lead in the Drivers' Championship for James Nash. And the Craft Bamboo Lukoil team will be more than happy with 1st and 3rd. And a joint lead in the series as our race winner, Pepe Oriola, pulls into the designated stopping point. And let's see the reaction as he gets out the car. Relief, delight, he punches the air. That says it all. I'm back, says Pepe. Never discount me. Andrew Chisholm, the team manager, the first to congratulate him. His coach there on the left. And it's tribute to him that Pepe seems a much stronger, much more focused individual this season, as out of the car comes Dusan Borkovic. A pair of 2nd places will have done him no harm at all, as he just unplugs from the radio, acknowledging the applause of the B3 Racing team, who are tucked away there somewhere. That's what I was waiting for. Did seem rather serious, but no, big smile on his face as he goes over. And there is Andriana. Yes, well done, hubby. I'm proud of you, she says. And then he goes over to say, well done, guys. And the mechanics sporting the Hawker's sunglasses as part of the fan award prize from the Salzburg Ring. Big smiles all round. You just saw there Attila Tassi on the left. But let's just confirm for you the results of race 2 here in Oschersleben. Pepe Oriola, the victor, ahead of Dusan Borkovic, James Nash, Sergei Avanasiev, Matto Homola, Stefano Comini, Attila Tassi, Niklas Makshin, Michela Ceruti, and it was Gianni Morbidelli in 10th. And unfortunately, from Sheehan down to Venet, they all finish outside the points. But let's hear from our race winner.
Pepe Oriola, a victory and a nice way to end a difficult weekend.
Yeah, thank God the bad luck. I think it's gone for us because even having a good start, I got hit again back from the same guy as I got hit in the first race. I almost spun, but I could save the situation and then managed to overtake Achala in the first lap and then try to push as much as I could. But taking a lot of risks because I had a big lead. So just spraying to the thing happen like in Salzburg as I was leading too, and I had a problem in my engine, so everything is okay now. I'm back in the lead in the championship. It could be better without any bad behavior of some other drivers, but racing is the way it is, and no one told me that it was easy to win the championship.
Good, well done. Podium now for you.
Thank you.
Big smile. And a reference to how difficult it is to lead this series, but he'll be happy with that view tonight. He shares the championship lead with James Nash. Homola is now third. He'll be happy enough with that, just 4 points adrift. Then Comini, Venet, and Morbidelli. Avanasiev, if you look, only 3 points down on Morbidelli. And then there's a bit of a gap back to Borkovic, who, as I said earlier, could really do with winning a couple of races in the second half of the season. That's the way the drivers' points look, though. We have both podium ceremonies from Oschersleben still to come. And I suspect a fair amount of champagne spraying as well. The second page of the drivers' points table confirms that Attila Tassi, now up to 12th. Makshin is already 17th after just 2 races. And Michela Cerruti, the other green flag on the championship leaderboard, 3 points. Let's just remind ourselves then of some of the incidents from another dramatic race in the TCR International Series. It's always fascinating to get those little glimpses into the garages during the race. We can't always bring you those shots live, but you saw the frustration in the West Coast Racing team garage when Grachov spun, and you also saw the nerves of the Kraft Bamboo Lukoil team management drumming their fingers on the table. Come on, Pepe, hold it together, stay in the lead. We desperately need the points. Next then will be the podium ceremonies for both races 1 and 2. There is Sergei Avanasiev, not taking part in the podium ceremony, but happy to play the supporting role as ever. And of course, next time out, it's his home events in Sochi in Russia in 2 weeks' time. The view of the pit lane here at Oschersleben, the motorsport arena, and a very packed program of events this weekend with 2 TCR International races, 2 TCR Germany races. Also German Formula 4, the historics, you name it, they've been here. We've had racing minis bombing around this very narrow, very tight track. So the fans that have come out to Oschersleben this weekend on what is a busy weekend for motorsport, we acknowledge that, but have been rewarded by some great racing and lots of drama. So let's take a look at the podium. James Nash in third place. And we'll get one of those awkward moments where the man on the top step of the podium is shorter than the man alongside him. Big, big smile for Matto Homola. This is the podium for race 1, remember, and the national anthem of Hungary. Did I say Hungary? I meant Slovakia, of course. The team is from Hungary. The driver is from Slovakia. Congratulations to him. Thomas Voss, the boss here at Oschersleben, presents the trophies for this race 1 podium. And that is the trophy for the team. There is Dusan Borkovic's trophy for finishing in second place. And there is the trophy for third place for a delighted James Nash. Delighted, I say, because, of course, he now jointly leads the TCR Drivers' Series. A spot of champagne, everybody, why not? Do you know, I think that grid girl on the right-hand side may just be in the wrong place. And she knows it. I think that body language says, did they pose for a photograph? I don't think they did. Ah, there we go. Smile, gentlemen, please. That's the official photograph. Somebody's streaming it live by the looks of things. And you have to say that the fact that we're now streaming live on Facebook Live shows just how far social media is able to spread the word these days. And this is the reason that James Nash looks so pleased with himself. Of course, we haven't seen the last of James Nash. He'll be back for the second podium. But the lead between himself and Pepe Oriola shared. 4 points adrift is Matto Homola. And then it's a bit of a gap to Stefano Camini. Jean Calvinet, no points for him in this race. And Gianni Morbidelli, determined to get the best possible result. They've now moved the grid girl so she can run away when the champagne happens. Spot of déjà vu for James Nash. Third again, a pair of podium finishes for the British driver. And a pair of second places for Dusan Borkovic. But of course, the man on the top step of the podium this time isn't Matto Homola. It is the man that's done it 3 times now this season. And look at that smile, Pepe Oriola. And I suspect not being dwarfed by Dusan Borkovic. The two on about the same level. Nick Clipson there on the left. The chief engineer at Craft Bamboo Lukoil, and it's Andrew Chisholm on the right there in the white shirt who will collect the prize. But the Spanish national anthem for Pepe Oriola. You briefly saw the smiling face of Jaime Puig, who's the boss of SEAT Sports. very, very pleased. 2 times over, I guess. It's a Spaniard at the top step of the podium, and it's a Spaniard driving one of his cars. Complete lockout of both podiums for Seat Sport here in Oschersleben this weekend. Hommler, of course, in a B3 Racing Seat Leon. His teammate Dusan Borkovic, and the 2 Craft Bamboo Lukoil drivers, James Nash and Pepe Oriola, also in Seat. So much for the Volkswagen domination, and Andrew Chisholm just stands there and takes it. And very sensibly, the grid girls have disappeared. They can allow themselves a swig of champagne. Congratulations from first to second. We'll have the photograph, please, gentlemen, and that will conclude the podium ceremony for race 2 here at Oschersleben. And so that wraps up proceedings here at Oschersleben. 12 rounds of the TCR International Series done, 10 more to go. And the winner of 3 of those 12 rounds is that man beaming in the middle of your picture, Pepe Oriola, who now jointly leads the Drivers' Championships with the man on the right, James Nash. No wonder Andrew Chisholm in the middle looks so happy with proceedings here in Germany this weekend. Plenty more action to come then between now and the end of the season. As I say, 10 more rounds between we finish off in Macau in November. But next, in 2 weeks' time, it's the 2 races in Sochi in Russia. But from Oschersleben, it's goodbye.
Die Einführungsrunde startet um 15:30 Uhr und dann legen auch wir hier aus der Kommentatorenkabine Marcel Witt mit der Berichterstattung los.